Right, now we're going to introduce the lovely Trish Springsteen, and she's talking about gender communication. Is there a difference? How does it impact and making it work? So let's all put our hands together for Trish. Lovely purple.
I would have been in extreme trouble if I hadn't worn purple today, wouldn't you? And actually, there wouldn't have been any problems about that because that's all I do. So for those who don't know me, I am Trish Springsteen. My passion is actually helping you to get known, be seen. We were talking about phrases and words that you use, and those are some of my phrases and words. It's get known, be seen. It's make it easy for your clients to find you. It's repurposing and leveraging and making your story, being able to share it, and standing out there and making it easy to speak. Those are the things I talk about. And underpinning all of that is I believe in you until you believe in yourself. Those are my absolute basis foundations to what I do. So talking today, I wanted to look a bit more behind getting known, being seen. I always say, make it easy for your clients to find you. Put yourself out there, let them find you, let them share with you. I want to delve a little bit more in behind that because one of my other principles is that speaking communication underpins everything you do in your life. If you get your speaking right, you get some really good basic skills in speaking, you're going to be able to connect with your clients. You're going to be able to connect with your audiences, with people that you want to pitch to. You get your communication right, you'll be able to have good relationships. You'll be able to even to be able to go up to school and speak with your clients and speak to the principal about your students, about your kids, your children, and being able to advocate for them. If you get some good communication and speaking skills, that's going to take you all the way there. So I wanted to delve a little bit more into communication because there's a lot of miscommunication around there. It can be due to a whole lot of things, not being able to clearly give instructions, not being able to understand or listen well. But one of the things about miscommunication, because I know it might come really out of the left field to everybody, but there are males and females in this world. I know that's strange, and I know that it's probably something really, really something that we have to come to grips with. Because along with that is that there's no two ways about it. Females communicate differently to males. And now you'll hear a whole strew of people out there probably now that are standing up saying, no, there's too much. You know, we've had too many reports. We've had all these things saying, and they'll give you an absolute numerous, I don't know how many different sorts of communication styles that you have. They'll pare it down into the nth degree. It's like what they do when you talk about leadership styles. There are so many books that will fill the world on different leadership styles, and they take it down to the nth degree, and they link communication down to that. You know, I'm a simple person. I really am, and I'm lazy. I do not like trying to decide how many different sorts of communication styles that I might actually manage to fit in or squeeze into. And I don't like having to decide what sort of compartment leadership style that I have to squeeze into. So I actually bring it down to, when I talk about leadership, I bring it down to three things. It's just really the answer to one question. And that's how I simplify my leadership. Is in this particular time, with these people, with the resources I got, how much input do I want from my team? None? Then I'm going to be taking all the leadership. Some? Then we're going to be having a really joint leadership style. And I want them to take everything off me. I don't want to have anything to do with it. Then I'm having what you might call a laissez-faire, or step completely back. And when you think about it and you answer that question, that simplifies your leadership down to what it is in this particular time, this particular situation with these people. So when I came to communication, I do the same thing. Really and truly, what is communication? It's giving you a message and you receiving that message. So what's the barriers to communication? Well, I did tell you that there are actually two genders in this world, really, well, whatever gender you want to take, but it is a male or female gender. So there's a male or female communication. You just have to sit back and listen and think about what we say and how we say it. Now, there's a lovely little quote that I like, which is, every race and culture on earth has one thing in common: the presence of men and women. Success in many aspects of life depends on effective communication between the two. And I can sit here and ask you, how often does your miscommunication happen? And is it when you're talking to your partner? Is it when you're talking to male clients? Is it when you're talking to female clients? Is it when you're talking to your female children, your male children? Are they listening? No, usually the guys aren't listening. Not to what you have to say. And if you ask them, they'll tell you, my partner's not listening to what I have to say. And there we are. We've got this basic communication issue. So how do we get about it? Where does it come from? Why do I believe that we have some different communication styles? Well, I take a lot of it back to hunters and gatherers. Very simplicity. Right back to where we started. In the caves, with our mastodons out there, with people going out there gathering. And that, if you think about it, is where our communication starts. We are hardwired DNA to a certain extent to what is going on. And that's where I start with our communication. If you think about it, and you think about in general, now I want to preface some of what I'm saying is that there are no absolutes in this. So don't come to me and say, oh, you said this for males and that for females, but that doesn't always happen. I can speak that way as well. That's fine. You can, because there are no absolutes. You are on a different thing, and there's a lot of impact. I'm talking about your basic default when you start your communication. And that can be impacted by who you grew up with and what families you grow up. That can really impact that. But when you take it back to the bare roots, out there, way back in those times when they're out there, those hunters were out there getting the meat, getting the stuff ready so that we can keep on going as a tribe. It came down to, if you wanted the females, if you wanted the women, if you wanted to be recognized, you'd go out there, you'd hunt, and you'd come back and say, I did this. You'd be up there going, hey, I was the best hunter on the day, because you had to stand out. If you wanted to get the best females, you wanted to be proud of what you were doing. It was just what it was like. Now, let's not get into what it is today, because it's a hell of a lot different today. But we are still bringing in some of those basic communication styles. You look at the females of the tribe. Their business was getting out there, gathering, looking for the berries, looking for the vegetables, looking what could have. Now, for that, you need to have a relationship building, talking to people. You weren't going to be able to gather a lot of stuff if you were like, I know where the best berries are and I'm not going to tell anybody else. Well, you weren't going to get enough for the tribe to be able to eat. But if you were out there, which is what they did, they would say, look, I've got something over there. And someone else would say, I've seen these over there. And so we are now talking about building a relationship, gathering it all up. So for the females, they would come back and they would be talking about what we did, how we as a group were able to get what we needed to do. Now, those sort of communication styles have come down. And for a long time, there was a really big divide on that. Because as females, we had a lot of trouble getting out there and communicating what we wanted. We were hidden away a bit. So rather than talk about male and female communication styles, because I've found and discovered that when I talk about this, it always seems to put people's backs up. You've got the female saying, well, no, I don't talk like that. You've got the male saying, well, no, I don't talk like that either. I actually can speak like this, or I can communicate like this. So I thought, well, let's just get rid of the male and female tags and talk about directive and connective communication. Because that brings it to my lovely simplistic mind, where I like to be nice and simple, and I'm extremely lazy, remember? So I don't like complicated little templates or complicated things. I like simplicity. So when we talk about directive and connective communication, what are we speaking about? Directive communication is what I call a report style. It's extremely straightforward. This is what I've done. This is what we're going to do. This is the answer to the problem. Extremely directive. Dominance and control is a lot of it because they want to be in control of what's happening, in control of the communication, in control of where we're going. When it comes to discussing any issues, any crisis, any discontent, directive communication style people keep it to themselves. Yeah, they're not going to share that they're having some problems. They're just going to deal with themselves, because if they share that they're having any problems, then people might get the wrong idea that they're not in control of their communication or in control of what they're doing. So they keep it to themselves. For directive communications, it's all about building relationships with getting things done. Directive communication is all about getting things done, straight out there. Now, for those who are really perceptive, you might want to say that's quite a lot of males that I know have a communication like that. In the boardroom, when they're talking to people, it's straightforward. They don't like to get involved with the emotional side of it. It's about facts and figures. So let's have a look at what connective communication does. Connective communication is all about building the rapport. It's about building the relationship. It's about storytelling. It's about inclusiveness, sharing what's happening, getting everybody involved. We all want to be here together. We all want to move forward together. It's connecting people, connective communication. And they're more apt to share their issues. They want to understand how to get something solved. So they're more apt to communicate with that, to find someone that they can talk about, share the issues, share the problem, find a combined way of doing things and a combined answer to that. So they will share out that. They're more likely to be accepted of any emotional issues with that communication. So they will be happy to help people with that emotion. So they like to get things done by building relationships. So the directive, they get things done by getting, they build their relationships by getting things done. The connective one gets things done by building the relationships. You see the difference? Now, I guess the most perceptive from you might say that there's a lot of females who do connective communication. And that's perfectly true, they do. The issue comes, and like I said, be aware, there are no absolutes. But the issue comes when you've got someone doing extremely directive communication and someone who is firmly based in connective communication. And don't actually get the message across too well. Why? Well, the directive communicator is expecting to hear facts, figures, this is what's happening, this is what we're going to do. The connective communication is stepping up and saying, well, we got together. I involved everybody in the answer. We did some brainstorming. We worked out the issues and we came up with an answer to the problem. The directive is listening to that thinking, oh, I better jump in and solve the problem. They're having some issues. They haven't given me the answer. She's talking about what's happening. They're talking about what's happening. So I need to jump in and say, well, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Are you doing this? Now that, can you imagine? Just put yourself, and I'm sure I can say that the people here that are watching and that are going to be able to connect and resonate with one or the other of those communication styles, because you've all been there and it's happened. Because you've all been there where you've got the answer to the problem and someone's jumping in and saying, have you done it? Yeah, I have. I haven't got to that. No, but did you do this? Yes, I did. But is that not going to irritate both sides? And there we have some basis of miscommunication. So then you've got the connective communicator who's listening in and they want to know what's happening. So the directive communicator comes in and says, this is what we did, this is my answer. And the connective communicator is saying, yeah, but how did you get to that? You're being aggressive with me, you're being assertive, you're just giving me all these things, but I want to know, how did you get to the answer? Can anybody relate to that? Yeah. So then you've got the connected person saying, well, I'm not going to work with that person. They just come in and just give me these things. They're not building any relationship. They're telling me what to do straight away. And this is a big problem. If you are a directive communicator coach and you're coming in with your client and you're just giving them answers, boom, 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 your connective communicator client is going to say, I'm not going to work with you. You're not listening to me. You are not, you're giving me all the answers, but you didn't understand. And I wonder how I got to those answers. I want to know what the process is. Help me understand so that I can own what you're telling me. Now I've got big communication problems because now this is your business. And you're wondering why most of your people in your, are males. Or you're female, wondering why most of the people that you have are females. Are wondering what's happening. Because you are really putting yourself and owning one particular style of communication. If we want to connect and make it easy for our clients to find us, we need to be aware what communication style we're using in what particular situation. And we need to be able to change it because it's not set in concrete. Once you know what sort of style and the words that are used in that style, and there's a whole lot more, I'm pulling down nearly a half-day presentation on this into 20 minutes. But once you know the language of directive communication, and once you know the language and the body language of connective communication, then you can easily change from one style to the other, depending on the situation that you're in and the people that you are speaking with. Make it easy for your clients to find you. Make sure that you know what communication style you want to use. Because I'm going to share with you one last quote, and it's something that we need to be aware of. Too often, men and women see the differences between each other and make each other wrong, rather than appreciating how they can benefit from those differences. So don't think about whether one communication style or the other is better. Think about how you can change your communication style to better connect with your clients, the friends that you've got, your relationships, and make it easy for those people to find you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Fran. Thank you. I love my purple too.
So, does anybody have any questions?
In relationships with husbands and wives, I notice with my husband and I, we actually swap and take both those different roles. And when we're on the opposite side, of course, that's when the argument can start. And, no matter how wonderful we've been together forever, we still have those differences points. And sometimes it's quite, wide. So what do you suggest to try and eliminate like that from my point of view? I'm here listening to you, so it's up to me to actually bring that into our relationship and see that grow, because I know that we've got a great relationships, but sometimes it can get a bit, but I don't even want to talk. Sometimes at certain times of the day, I don't want to talk. I just want to switch off and I don't want to talk. And yet that's when he will want to talk, and then that's where it can become. So what do you think?
I've been married 43 years, so we've got a really good relationship. I just don't listen to him. No, that's not true. In part, but have you actually told him that you don't want to communicate at this time?
Oh yes, I've told him that nearly all my life. Don't talk to me after 4 o'clock.
Yeah. They're not listening. They're not
I want
listening.
to go into la land.
There is a time to really push it, and there is a time to say that's who that person is and accept them. And really, apologies to all the beautiful males who are watching and who are here. Females are actually a bit more flexible. So it's easier for us in a way to change our communication style to connect what we want to do than it is to ask a male to change it in general. I'm being very in general. And I said there's no absolutes, because if you're a male and you've been brought up in a family with 6 sisters or 3 sisters, you are going to be very good at connective communication because you will have been trained in that extremely well. If you're a female and you've been brought up with a whole strip of brothers, you're going to be extremely good at directive communication because that's how you have been brought up. So there is no absolutes. But the thing I'm getting at is understanding, when you understand how someone else speaks. And so maybe it's a point of having a little bit more conversation is why do you want to talk? I mean, It could be that at that time, he's processed everything in the day and he's excited to share it with you.
That's true. That's true.
He's just taken all that day.
I just wish you'd pick a few more.
Yeah, it'll be good. So you need to ask yourself, is it more important for me to have my time, or is it okay for me to be flexible and let him have his little bit of share? And then pick, you've got 5 minutes, I'm going to listen to you for 5 minutes. I am here and absolutely concentrating in the moment with you for 5 minutes. Tell me what you want to tell me. Because when the 5 minutes is ending, I have to go and have my time. So if you give him time, you need to be in the moment and right there in the presence at the same time. And that's one of the biggest things about communication, is because we don't listen. People forget that listening is the other half of communicating.
Hearing.
No, listening.
Oh, listening. Okay.
No,
Not
listening,
hearing.
because we can hear and all we'll hear is babble.
Oh, okay.
And we listen, we actively listen, then we are concentrating exactly what's being said in this moment. We are switching off our mindset. We have not assuming that we know what that person is going to be saying and formulating an answer. We are here listening actively to what you're going to be saying. And that, when you do that, you have got the other half. It's being present. So for your situation, that's him. I'm going to be present for the next 5 minutes. I'm happily going to concentrate exactly. Then I need to have my time.
I sometimes think maybe we need to book a time.
Yep.
You know, so that, okay, get to my 4 o'clock, because, you know, they say that when a man comes home from work, he goes into his man cave. Well, I have my girl cave. I'm the girl cave person in our household. You know?
Okay.
So it kind of like works that way with us. So
It's
I guess
listening.
it's probably getting that time.
Yep.
Yeah, making an appointment, even because we work from home too. So it's, you know, when you work from home, it makes it a lot harder to keep that separate. You know, you like your business and your whatever, you know, your personal life, lots and stuff. Quite often go and sell it.
It's communicating.
Yeah.
One doesn't drink.
Someone once told me,
Yeah.
Jay, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth.
That's
Try
right.
listening twice as hard as you speak.
And it's an actual truism. It really is. Because I think if we listen more in the moment to what is going on around us, to the people around us, to those who've got to our children, how often do we brush our children off because we are busy? If we actually listened, I think there'd be a hell of a lot less problems in the world.
Yeah.
But we
And-
don't.
And just on that note, I've never been very good at communicating, and it wasn't until I met Graham that we then brought into our relationship brown couch session. So every time we wanted to get frustrated with each other or something happened and we're out of that misalignment, it's like brown couch. I've gone, okay.
I like it.
What have I done wrong? No.
It's not spending class around.
No, it was just
Actually works well too.
Yeah.
Your time to talk.
The talking stick is a very good thing.
Yeah.
There's a talking stick. I don't think it's stupid. The talking stick.
Mm.
Yeah.
So thank you, Trish, so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.